Hey there, I'm Melissa.
And I'm Nadia.
Welcome to Navigating New Ground, where we dive into real honest conversations about navigating life transitions away from home.
We're here to share our journeys, hear yours, and remind you that no one has to navigate new ground alone. So, today, for the Navigating Finance series, we'll be diving into the topic of finances.
Yes, and we are very grateful to invite a kind hearted yet wise friend, Sam, to join us today. Samuel and I are both serving in a church in Frankfurt with our other house, Divya and Phylum. So, welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm quite honored to be here on your podcast. And I'm looking forward to what we have to chat today.
Yeah, welcome, and thank you for being with us and our listeners today. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself? Where are you from, and how did you end up here in Germany?
Yeah, sure. I'm originally from India. I was born in India on the East Coast. So I grew up in a town that's on the coast. And so we were always on the beach, and every day we would drive down the beach, or always visit the beach. So you want to
Oh,
meet your friends, you go to the beach. You're sad, you go to the beach. You're happy, you want to cut a cake on your birthday, you go to the beach. So it's almost 25 years I grew up there, and then I later moved on to another city, Bangalore, in India. And things were going pretty well. But God had other plans. So we then suddenly had this plan to come to Germany. It was initially for a short period, which then eventually turned into a mission, and we decided to stay here for a bit longer. We saw that there's a bigger need here. So yeah, so far that's how we are here, and we're going strong in Germany. It's been 4 years since I'm here, and counting.
wow. And we are so glad that you are here, that we can meet you and also have you in our international community here in Frankfurt. It has been a really uh, blessed time to have you and Divya with us.
Hmm.
And yeah, we are very happy to have you. And today we're going to talk about the topic finance. And of course, you're invited because we know that you have lots of stories to share and lots of wisdom to share with us, and we can't wait to hear it.
Hmm.
So, first question first. Since you moved from India to here,
Hmm.
um, was there like a shock? What is your biggest money shock? Is there a difference when you first arrived from where you are all the way back in India to here, Germany,
Hmm.
all the way in your place? Then it's the north, but like here in Germany.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. Let me think. What was one of the biggest shocks, especially finance-wise?
What's the
Yeah,
currency there?
in
It's
India we use the rupees.
rupees, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and when I came, the rupee was about 79 against €1, and it's gone up to 100. But that's a whole different story. But yeah, I think I was a bit surprised how people treat money here and how they manage their finances when I first came. And one of my biggest shock was, especially when I went to the restaurant with some friends, and in India back home, someone they fight to pay the bill. Okay, I want to pay, or I want to pay. And here I was quite surprised that everybody splits up the bill, and they just pay for what they ordered. It took me some time to get used to it. I was also at the Christmas market once with a German friend, and we saw some nice roast lac sandwich kind of a thing, and I thought it was quite interesting. So I thought I should buy him one. I bought him one, and he was quite surprised that I actually bought him one. He was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, no, 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 I don't want." I said it's okay. Then yeah, he was quite happy, and also quite surprised. So this was one of my bigger shocks, because this is something that comes naturally in my home country,
Yeah.
and yeah, I was quite shocked by looking at these things.
Yeah, the people, I mean, Germans here, they split the bill, but they don't split their pizza. That was my shock. Like here, everyone having their own big pizza. Yeah.
So would you say that you grew up learning about money at home in India, or was that something you had to learn here in Germany?
Fortunately, I think I had the opportunity and the interest to learn about finances and at least get a hold of it a little bit when I was back home in India. Usually, when it's internationals who go to a new country, they are in kind of a shock because this is not something that you learn in school, and they are taken by surprise. Or they either live with their parents all of their
Mhm.
life, and they don't know anything about money.
Mhm.
And when they're in a new country, they're completely shocked. They suddenly have their whole life to manage.
Mhm.
But for me, I can say I was a little bit okay. I did pick up some interest on finance at back home itself.
That's very fortunate. Could you share with us your journey of like how you got to this interest in finances?
Well, yeah, that's a good question because I myself still wonder how I really took up this interest in finance because I don't really come from a family that's in business or anything to do with finance.
Mhm.
My dad was an employee for the government. He worked for the shipyard, and my mom was a school teacher, and they were employees. So usually nobody teaches you about finance at home, and there's also unfortunately not taught in school. So it's usually what I knew is from friends that only if you're from a business family they learn it. But yeah, I don't really know when I picked it up, but I really had an interest on finance when I was quite young. Probably at when I was 11, I already
Oh,
had the interest to open a bank account for myself.
Mm.
I was fortunate that I had a neighbor who was the manager of a bank nearby, and she said, "Okay, hey, even children can start opening up accounts." And I said, "Okay, let me do this." And I went by myself, and she helped me open an account.
wow.
And I was quite surprised that I think 11 or 12, I already had a checkbook which I could sign, and
Seriously, they have
yeah.
no age limit for that?
No, I mean they gave me one, but probably I don't quite remember. Maybe I needed a consent from my parents or what to sign the check. But as far as I remember, I think I still had the checkbook, and I was quite surprised because I never knew how to handle a check. But my dad's financial manager in the work in his workplace, so he then taught me how to handle checks and how to write checks.
Wow.
But when you're small, you start saving money in these piggy banks.
Yes.
So I would say I have a lot of coins, and I would then collect all these coins, put them in a bag, and go to the bank to deposit it. And probably I was the only guy coming to the bank with coins. But the people that were so kind enough, they would then ask the security guard over there. He would come up to help me count my coins, and then I would deposit. So that's kind of probably when I actually started a rough interest in managing money, my own money, and it kind of grew on. Probably I started investing a little bit when I was 18, and that's also from the bank. The bank gave me some advice, and then later on, I kind of started seeing ways on how I can make money by myself and being a little more self-dependent when I was in college.
Mhm.
Mm.
Wow. And currently, are you like an entrepreneur?
Yeah, maybe I don't like to use that word because many people use it very loosely. But yes, if you say,
You started your business.
yeah, I've started my business, and if you say, okay, I can manage my money a little bit better than before, and I can manage businesses, I kind of help grow and coach people when they want to do something like a startup or a business. So help them how to organize their finances and also the
Mhm.
company when they do a startup. So a little bit of an entrepreneur, you can say.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think a lot of us, maybe including myself, when it comes to this topic of finance, we are like you said, it's not a common thing for um, everyone to have the advantage to learn about financial um, on how to handle your finances since young. And for those who are very new to this topic, how would you explain financial literacy? How can we define whether you know or do not know how to handle your finance? Is there like a definition for it?
Yeah, I think. Well, financial literacy is a very big word nowadays in the market. But for me, because like I said, I'm self-taught, I don't like to use definitions, and I kind of make up my own theories around it. For me, it's mostly about understanding how money works in your
Mhm.
day-to-day life. So basically, you need to understand how you earn money primarily. So that's the important thing, how to earn money. And then the second most important thing is how to manage money. How do you manage your finances? So when you learn how to manage it, then you know how to grow it. So you then come into this phase of growing your money. And then finally, the fourth step would be to protect your money. So this is how I usually explain it to people who are getting into businesses and or trying to start a new job and or just graduated from university, getting into this whole topic of earning and I have my own paycheck now. So I tell them, first thing, learn how to earn, then manage it, and then learn how to grow it, and
Mm.
then learn how to protect it. It's not enough with growing your money, you also need to protect it. So it's not a big Wall Street journal definition, but it's the basics. You just need to know your basics, I would say. How to save money, how interest works, how debt works, how can you go in debt, and how not to go into debt. So understanding these very basics of how to do life and how your day-to-day life works around money. And I think once you understand that, I think that's the most basic definition of financial literacy.
Yeah, it sounds very simple, like just four steps, but in this four step is actually so much knowledge in it. I mean, uh,
Mm,
being like knowing the basics and being really good at it and making how to say taking advantage of the opportunities given to us in this generation. Yeah, it's very different in compared to back in those days. But
Yeah,
I think not what we have right now, the amount of resources we have, the convenience that we have, is 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 itself a whole degree. I think
yeah,
in so
yeah,
many
yeah.
different ways.
Definitely. I think when you're financially literate, or at least on the journey to become financially literate, you end up making better choices in life. You start avoiding high interest debt, or you start preparing for emergencies. You want to start a business or a startup, or you want to do a side gig. You are more confident in doing that. You basically get more freedom and control.
Mm.
So I always say this: do you want to control money, or do you want money to control you? So when you learn the difference between that, you are on the right path for becoming well educated in this whole topic.
Mm.
mm.
Nadia, can you imagine when did you really say you know what you are doing with money?
I feel like I can relate with Sam a lot actually when he was sharing, because I remember having a bank account ever since I was really young with the
Mm.
book as well. And I think it was just something that my mom always encouraged me to do, like to be wise with my finances. So, of course, I wasn't getting money when I was a kid, but it was just like the little, what do you call it? Like the pocket money that you would get
Mm.
as a kid.
The allowance.
Yeah, yeah, your allowance, and then from like doing chores or whatever it is, and you'd get a certain amount of money, and then you have to be like wise enough to know how you spend that money and how you save it. And I also had a piggy bank account and all of these things. So the interest with being wise with my money was always there. And I think also just with my upbringing or what I experienced at home, like to go through situations of financial instability at home, and for that to influence my outlook towards finances. So it's like, okay, so that was something that I didn't have when I was younger, and now that I'm older, and then like my goals were always to like, okay, I have to do well in school so that I can get a good job. And once I got a good job, then I had to be wise with those finances and be a good steward of everything that I earned so that, yeah, that I can be financially stable. So there was always this interest of knowing how to save money, how to invest it as well, and all of these things. But I think it's always the question of like, am I really doing it right, or is there something else I should be doing, and like all of these questions. So I guess a part of me feels like I should have been doing things right all of this time ever since I've been working, but I'm sure that there's so many more things to learn, like so many more topics that I haven't been exposed to. So um, yeah, I think it's more of that, like being interested in all of the things that I still don't know. And so I don't know. I'm looking forward to what Sam has to say. And I want to see where I stand after this conversation. But yeah, so I think one of the first things that I'm looking forward to hearing from Sam is how has your faith shaped how you manage money, or how has worldview also shaped the way that you manage money?
Mm. Yeah, I think faith plays a very important role in my life when it comes to handling money because at the core, I primarily believe that faith gives you the ethics, the value system in life, on how you do life in general, and it also plays a very important role when it comes to finances because you can be very careless with your money, or you can be very stingy with your money. You can be very generous with your money. You can be very well organized, and most of these things sometimes are influenced by what we believe in. And I come from a Christian faith, and my faith in God has always been a major influence in how I do finances. For me, I primarily look at it in a sense that it's not my money,
Mm,
and God has entrusted me with it.
Mhm.
So that's the primary goal when it comes when I think of money, because when I do that, I automatically lose that self-righteousness or the selfishness that I think that, oh, this is my money, this is something that I've made for myself, and I don't feel too proud about myself.
Mhm.
So I see that this is something a higher superior power has entrusted me with. So God kind of tells me this is how I can steward money. So I don't use money, but I kind of see how I can steward it. How can you organize your money? How can you
mm,
steward it better? Like just how the Bible tells us a lot about stewardship, and it talks about a lot of parables in the Bible. Jesus himself talks about how he gives talents to three different people, and
yeah.
how they use it. So you see that even in the Bible itself, there's one guy who just doesn't do anything. He just keeps it buried, and some people, they steward it really well. So I think
Yeah.
that principle is very important. So there's a lot of teachings also on generosity that of course influence how I handle my money. And well, I think, yeah, I think faith is a plays a very important role in my life and in my financial planning and organization. And it teaches me that money is just a tool. Yeah,
Mm.
it's not the ultimate goal, because
Mm,
I'm not caught in a rat race to chasing after money. I like money, but I know that it's just a tool, and I need to learn how to manage it wisely.
mhm,
And managing it wisely, wisdom comes from God. And when you have a faith, and when you believe, and when your belief system and your value system is set right, then I think you automatically manage it in the right direction.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like I really learn about finance really late. I mean, yeah, I do have also like a bank account, and I like how you categorize it into like four part of knowing the how money works, and then learning how to grow them, and then learning how to handle it and also protect it. Like, if these have a phases, I actually learned how to protect my money very young age,
Hmm.
to the point where my siblings are always complaining, it's so difficult for me to get my money because I have to go up, find like some hidden spots, take out my key, open my lock, open my safe, and then got like a really, really nice flat piece of bill that they think that it looks like it's just fresh from the bag because I kept it so well. But as I moved here into Germany and getting to know the Bible more, I was really surprised actually at this parable that you shared, Sam,
Hmm.
about God giving money or like talent at those days to these three person, and one took it and buried it and did nothing with it, and then the other one took um some of it, and the other one took a lot of it to invest and got back some. And this parable really hit me quite hard. Like, I didn't know that keeping it safe is actually wrong. Like,
Mm.
it is wise, and keeping it safe and doing nothing about it, it's actually considered not lazy, but more of like sort of lazy, right? Because you did nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even put in effort. And that really struck me into realization that, like what you say, God entrusted us with this amount, and we are supposed to use this amount for something good, or even find ways to grow it so that it can be expanded and used even more in a good way. And yeah, and that led me towards learning a bit more about investing and coming into knowing what is actually finance and how does it work. This whole game
Mm.
of money, it can go wild in a whole different direction, but if you use it well and we use it right, it can go wild in a good direction as well.
Yeah, of course. I think that's the key. When you start handling money, you really know how to save it, and then, like you said, maybe saving is not just the only thing that you can do, because if you're saving, your money is not growing. That's what I always tell people. If your money is just sitting in the bank, you think you're saving, actually it's depreciating,
Yeah. Mhm.
because the value of your money every day decreases. the,
Mm-hmm,
the purchasing power. So let's say you have 1,000 euros in the bank. The 1,000 euros in the bank is not 1,000 euros next year,
mm-hmm.
because what you can buy today with 1,000 euros is significantly gone down by what you can buy next year.
Yeah, and these days the inflations are
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
think it's not just enough to save it, but it's very
Mm.
important that you know how to grow your money. You need to make sure that your money works for you. The first phase is saving, of course, and then you need to see
Mhm.
how you can help your money make more money for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
and you did mention about like, um instead of thinking that this money is yours and you that God just placed this money onto you to share it with people, but how do you balance it? Like, what you have, how much do you think you are supposed to give away or you could give away? Because in the end we live in a very reality world, right, where we
Mm,
all need money, everything needs money.
mm,
Like, waking up in the morning, the moment you step out the door, it requires money. You need money to buy a ticket to get to somewhere, unless you walk all the way, which is impossible. And then you need money for food, you need money for the rent, even the bed that you lie on, you need money to purchase it. Everything needs money nowadays.
Mhm.
And just the basic amount of money that you have to pay monthly, that's
yeah.
already like a high percentage of what we earn for normal people, of course.
Mm.
And how do you even determine for yourself, at least, so that we all kind of have a reference? Even.
Mm. Yeah, I think. Well, I don't have a very hard, fast rule about it, uh, but I just make sure that I'm not very reckless with my finances.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I always tell people is it's not how much you earn, but it's how much you save. It's not how much you earn that makes the difference, but it's how much you save.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain that a bit more?
Yeah. For example, let's say I earn 2,000 euros a month, and
Mm-hmm.
let's say somebody else earns 5,000 euros a month.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm spending only 1,000 euros and saving 1,000 a month. And let's say the other guy who earns 5,000 is spending like 4,500 and he's
Mm-hmm.
saving only 500. So at the end of 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
who has more money?
Mm-hmm.
It's me who has more money. So usually people are always running after how can we make more money and how can we make more money, but it's usually how can you cut your expenses, how
Mm-hmm.
can you start saving more, how can you start looking at your finances and budgeting it properly, and how can you be more wise on how you handle your money, and how can you be a little bit less reckless. um, in Germany, you can do a mini job, you have a regular job, and I see a lot of people, of course, then going after a mini job and trying to earn more money, which is a very good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it all depends on what you're doing with that money. Because if you're, let's say you're a couple and you're married, or a couple and you go out to eat once a week, that's already about 200 euros a month
Mm-hmm.
on an average.
Mm-hmm.
And you increase it by how many times you go out in a week or in a month, or if you have family, then it grows up drastically. And so it's these small things that we need to be wise about on how can we save more money. I'm not definitely advocating for being stingy about money. We always need to be wise on spending money on ourselves and on our family, but also not in a reckless way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do find that that's always very challenging to balance because it's like I definitely understand that concept of saving more, and it's not so much about how much you earn, but how much you save. But then also from another perspective, it's the lifestyles are so different from those two people. You know, like the person who owns the 2,000 and saves the 1,000 and spends the 1,000 is definitely living a different life than the one who earns 5,000 and spends 4,500 and saves 500. And then, yes, from one perspective, in terms of like trying to grow your money and finances, of course, the one who's saving 1,000 is making the better choice. But then at the end of the day, I think there's also a balance that has to come with it because spending the 4,500, which might not be the wisest thing, but then, like, just for this example, it makes so much of a difference. It's like, yeah, basically, how much are you able to enjoy what you earn in that 1 month, and how big of a difference does it make in your life that you're able to spend that much money on, yeah, basically building your life in comparison to the 1,000. And like, would you say that that plays a part as well? Because that 4,500 that you're spending on your lifestyle, if it's not reckless, means that it does enhance your life in a different way, not just in finances. If that makes any sense, I don't know if I'm making sense.
Yeah, definitely. This was just a rough example that I've given. So
Mhm.
it's a loose example where we will
Yeah.
take it with a pinch of salt. Of
Mhm.
course, the guy is spending 4,500. It depends on what he's spending it on. If he has a family,
Mhm.
he has kids, then of course there's so much more responsibility and so many other things. But I
Mhm.
think the crux of this whole thing is like how much are you really doing it with wisdom, and how much are you
Mm-hmm.
actually able to do it wisely without spending. Because what usually happens is when like you rightly said, Nadia, you said lifestyle and
Mhm.
the lifestyle comparison between the two. So you need to find a good balance, because most of the time, when we have a hike in our salary, we grow in our workplaces, we start earning more money, we automatically and very immediately do a
Spend
lifestyle
more.
yeah, so we immediately upgrade our lifestyle. We start buying things that we initially
Do
never,
not need.
yeah, we didn't need something, and we start buying depreciating assets that lose value, or probably like a car, or like
Mhm.
electronics. So it all depends on, okay, let's say we already have a phone. Maybe the phone is good enough. It can work for another 2 years. But since we are getting a fat paycheck now, we say, okay, I want to get the latest iPhone,
Mm.
or I want to get the latest car. So it all depends on our lifestyle and who's influencing our lifestyle. So it's also important.
Mm. Mm.
And this is also where faith plays a very important role. Are we living to please the world, or are
Yeah.
we living to please ourselves and God? And where is our identity? Where do we see ourselves? And once we realize that, and what we are rooted in and what we believe in, and then I think it
Mm.
doesn't matter. We don't really care about what the neighbor thinks, or what our family or our friends think. I don't really care. For me at least, I go out with confidence. I don't care whether what kind of a shirt or jeans I'm wearing.
Mm.
I used to be conscious before. I say, okay, I need to look nice. I need to look smart if I'm going here and there. And then I say, okay, that's not my identity. Of course, it can define a little bit, but it's who I am, and it's not me. It's who I am in Christ, and I have my
Mm.
identity in Christ, and that defines my lifestyle. And I say, okay, this is what I want to do. And yes, definitely, you don't have to be stingy about it, because if you're not enjoying your money, then of course it's also not a good thing. But yeah, I think it's you have to see, you have to weigh in what's happening, and then you also have to look into the future. Maybe you're spending a lot of money on good holidays every year,
Mhm.
and then what happens after you retire? Then do we really have money to enjoy? Do we really have the same kind of freedom that we have at this age? What happens if we fall sick? What happens if we don't have pension and things like that? So we need to have a balance. We need to enjoy life
Mm.
now, but also look forward to what's coming.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think nowadays as well, there are a lot of focus being placed on YOLO, like you only live
Mm,
once and you should definitely spend something on somewhere. But I think we have to also understand the earlier we get the awareness of what's coming. I mean, we definitely cannot prepare for what is to come because we do not know. We cannot even know when will we leave, right? But
Mhm.
to prepare a little on the general stuff, like we can count the inflation that's going based on the coming years. I mean, based on the years that's gone by and how it coming, we know that the money is depreciating and all. And generally people do live to a certain age, and what if we live to that certain age, how are we going to handle it? And
Mm.
in the last year I attended this seminar, and I'm really impressed with this woman because her talk is about female finances, and I think that I really respect her for hosting courses like this, and it's free. And the idea of her sharing her knowledge in finances is to advocate and also give awareness to what's actually coming on our way, and for example, for female, they are always spending a lot of time taking care of their family or even going through maternity leave, and that's how the pension gets lesser in compared to, or how to say, grow lesser in compared to men who usually take lesser maternity leave for in like parental leave for in compared to the wife. And in the end, when it comes to retirement, the amount, the difference in the amount is really big. And then it brings in, she used this word called retirement poverty, which
Hmm.
I think it's really scary, but it is true and it is happening a lot even now with the inflation and the whole bubble of balance between the amount of old people getting more and the amount of young people getting less because of yeah, lesser people wants to have kids, then it's just no longer able to hold, and one day it's going to burst. And this whole idea and this whole storyline that are being told right now, um if I didn't went there and hear her story, I wouldn't be able to imagine it. I have heard bits and pieces from here and there, but she really painted a really good picture of what is coming on our way for the general amount of people, like common people.
Mm.
So it is very important to know more about this and to find out like how can we grow, and also how can we know how to balance between what it is to spend now and what are the priorities to um save for.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you're quite bang on with the point because uh, I know a couple in the 60s right now in Germany, the Germans, and uh, they're afraid to retire
Mm,
because
Mm.
they can technically retire because of their poor health conditions,
mhm,
Mm.
and they earn really well. And the guy told me recently that, hey, I don't want to retire right now because I want to work until retirement age, which is 67 in Germany at the moment.
Mm.
He says, because if I retire now, my pension is not enough to sustain our lifestyle.
mm,
But you see them on social media, you see them going on a holiday 2 to 3 times a year, a nice
Wow.
having a good time. But but what is going to happen in 2 or 3 years when they retire, because they really didn't save up money?
Mm.
Probably they have something to fall back on because they are Germans, and then in this country probably they have some properties and they have some other side income. But it's a really interesting question, because what would happen for someone who's coming newly to a new country,
Yeah.
and then they copy the same lifestyle which the local people are living,
Mm.
and then when you are and it's too late before you realize that, when you come closer to your retirement, and then you see you have nothing to fall back on.
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah. So, how would you say that we can be a good steward of our finances? Like, what practical examples would you give?
Hmm. Well, it depends on who is in question, because um, it depends on what kind of a background you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Because for some people, they already have some generational wealth,
Mm-hmm.
and for them, how they handle their finances, it's a completely whole different ball game. But
That's true.
yeah, but for someone who's just starting their life and getting an edge on this topic, the most important thing is to first understand what finances is, how to manage it. Like I previously said, first learn and understand how to earn money. Get a clear picture of what earning money is and what expenses are, because you can't be a good steward if you don't understand how what about income and expenses. So if you cannot differentiate between the two, because most people live paycheck to paycheck, the check comes in and they say, okay, this is what I do, this is what I do, and then they're waiting at the end of the month for the next paycheck. So they don't really budget their finances, they don't really see what are the expenses. So the first important thing is categorizing your expenses.
Mm-hmm.
The best ways, I think, I would say, is if you can try to have multiple bank accounts, one account where your money is coming in, is just your source of income. So that's where, and then you steward your money into different accounts, where one account for your savings, and other account for your daily monthly expenses. So you say, okay, I want to spend an X amount of money every month on my expenses. So you say, or even better, you say you want to spend like 200 euros a month for groceries. With take out the money and put it in cash in an envelope in your house.
Mm.
And physical money works better than digital money with the ATM cards and everything actually jeopardizes people from understanding how money works. When you're a
Mm.
child, you handle money, paper money and coins, and you really learn with that physical money. So I would say it's better to have physical money at hand for your daily expenses, and then you keep checking your box or your envelope, and you actually know how much money you have left to spend for that particular month. So
Mm.
then the next time you go to the grocery store, you will actually buy what you want, and you will not buy that extra chocolate or the extra ice cream which is out of your budget, which you wouldn't think of if you're paying with your card, because you wouldn't even look at how much money you have in your account when you're paying with your card.
Mm.
Guilty of that. Because it's like, yeah, I mean, I used to know exactly the amount that I give out every month. I could even say, like, when I was a student, even count like, oh, this week I'm just gonna spend like really less than 20 euro for groceries. And then when I start using card, and um it's just way more and more and more and more and more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the first step is organizing your finances and your expenses. Because like I said earlier, it's about organizing your day-to-day expenses and your daily life. It's the first step. If you can't handle that, you can't go to the next step. People often can't handle how to save. The first thing to do is when your paycheck comes, first save and then
Mm.
spend. People spend and then start saving the rest. But usually
There's
they
nothing left.
yeah, there's nothing left, and you often end up in credit, because you end up using your credit card, which now you want to repay with a paycheck that's coming next month. You say, okay, next month I'm going to get this money, so let me buy this now. So the one rule I've learned in life is I've never had a credit card. There are some
Mm.
advantages for credit cards, of course, but for me, I've never had a credit card in my life, because I've seen friends and family going bankrupt with credit card loans and everything. And that's
Mm.
one thing I learned. I never had a credit card. Even till date, I never own a credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I waited till really late till I own one, because I mean, in the end, right? Like, for example, in Malaysia, in order to purchase even a house, you need to have like credit points and all. And so, my brother works in a bank, and he always advised, like, if you all have plans to even purchase a home in the future, then we need to have credit cards, so that we have like history of what our credit score is, so that we can even be considered into paying for a house loan. And so it was only in the recent year I was also very reluctant to have one, but now I have one. But I always make sure that I clear the credit every month. Like, I don't even bring it to the next month, which I think in it's kind of scary to think of. There are people who just keep using the credit card to the maximum limit, and then
Mm.
get a new card and max it out again, and then a new card and max it out again, and monthly just pay the interest rate to be safe from being called to court or something. And then it just accumulates, and the
Mm.
amount of interest that can come can ball up into really really huge. And it's quite kind of scary how many credit card can one just apply for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's financial wisdom right there. So you are actually talking about financial literacy right there. So, and you see how easy it is. You already are literate financially, and you bought a credit card because of your credit score. You want to have a good credit score, and you already know why you want to get a credit card. It's not to use it for the wrong reasons, but to actually build a good credit score, which is the next step. Once you know how to handle your finances, it's then you plan your investments, and how you want to buy assets that are appreciating, like a house. And probably invest into the market and things like that. So yeah, building a good credit score and growing your money once you're stable. And then of course, one thing also recommend people is always having an emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
It's always important
They say
to.
like what, three months, 6 months?
Yeah, it depends from country to country, but on an average, it's good to start with the 3 months of your net income. But eventually, it's good to have about 6 months or 1 year of your net income saved up somewhere, probably in a safe space, an easy space where you can actually liquidate your money immediately when you need it, so
Mm.
that it's readily available. And then and then focus on growth. Always focus on how you want to grow your money. Where to do you want to spend money in buying a car, or would I rather use that money in saving up and buying somewhere the money can grow? So it all depends. So, the positives and the negatives of the things, and then you obviously know what is the right choice for you, because there are so many financial advisors out there and so much of drama on the internet, and nobody can tell you what you should do. You really need to know what you want to do and plan your life. You can take examples from people and you can get some wisdom, but I would suggest never follow someone, because what works for someone might not work for you.
Mm.
Because maybe you really need a car, maybe you need a car to go to work, or to take your family around. So at that point, I wouldn't listen to someone who's saying, hey, don't buy a car, put the money in stocks. So we need that wisdom to see how to be stable with our money, and then how to grow our money.
Mm, yeah, that's
But-
very true.
but-
And we are all internationals who have moved abroad away from our home. So like in the country that we are in right now, it's very different from where we come from. At least our we don't have that backup, because we
Yeah.
are new here and our family are far away. And even transferring money from those country to this country has charges and all. What kind of financial challenges do uh international or migrants often face that you think that the local doesn't need to actually?
Mm. Yeah, like I was saying before, the first important thing is how you handle your money. You see a lot of local people being very reckless with their money because they have something to fall back on. They've
Mm,
been living here for ages. They have a house. They have their parents. They have some money, so they can do what they do. But for migrants, it's not so easy, because they probably need to understand how the banking system works in a new country. Then they need to understand how the documentation and all this works. And like you said,
the tax work.
yeah, how the tax work. And
I see.
probably most people don't even pay taxes in their home countries, and when they come here, they end up paying a lot of money in their taxes.
Mm.
And the other point which you mentioned earlier is the credit score. When you're born in a country and you have parents living in the same country, it becomes very easy for you when you want to take a loan to buy a car, or even to rent a house. Sometimes they ask you for the shufa.
Yeah, the shufa.
Yeah, and
I was so confused what the shufa was.
yeah, and now Germany says they're open to people coming in for looking for work. They give you this Chancenkarte, something which looks fancy. People can come and look for jobs. But I know someone. I just met someone yesterday who came on that, and they're not able to find a house because they don't have a credit score of 1 year in Germany. So so it's these are some challenges which locals do not understand when it comes to finances. And then
Mm.
another important thing is, most of us travel back home because we
Mm,
all still have family that doesn't
Mhm.
live in Germany, or in any other country that we are living in right now. And you know how expensive it is to travel back
Yeah.
home. So
Mm.
for the local people, it's just probably a car ride away to visit their family. And
Mm.
for us, it costs a few thousand euros, because when you go home, you just don't go empty handed. And there
Mm.
is this expectation that okay, my aunt or my sister or my brother is coming from such and such a country, and you need to take some gifts, and you buy a lot of stuff. So it's not just the tickets, it's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And people don't understand,
Yeah.
or at least people are not aware of this whole expense ratio, which is quite different from locals
Mm.
to internationals. And internationals, another thing what I would say is maybe food. Our food is different, and if you want to buy the food which you want to usually eat in your home
Imported
country,
food.
yeah, imported food, you go you go to the international market, Asia market or Indian market, and then
Spend
you
more.
yeah, you end up spending a lot more than, and you already are spending a lot more in the regular groceries, but you crave home food, and then you end up spending much more.
Yeah,
And
yeah, true.
these are some definite practical challenges which the local people sometimes they don't really know that we go through these things, and or maybe even we don't think about it ourselves. But yeah.
Yeah, and you know, in just now when you were sharing about like family and traveling home, it reminded me of when my parents came to visit, and we all had to pay for our parents, of course, when they are here. Of
Mm,
course, I said of course, but it wasn't a very of course thing, because my colleague who is German, she was very surprised. Like I told her like, oh, I can't join you guys for lunch today because I want to save money because my parents are coming soon and I have to like spend a lot. And then she was saying like, why do you have to pay for your parents?
mm,
She was very surprised too, and she was asking me, can't your parents pay for themselves?
mm,
And this whole concept of us paying for our parents, I mean, especially uh, Asians or like in Malaysian, we often when we are young they pay for us, and when they are older we want to pay for them, and usually it's like the expected stigma, or how to say, like the culture that yeah we should, or else we are not like good children or something. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to pay for my parents, and for my colleague this is just a very very foreign concept. And so then only I realized like, oh, they don't even give money to their parents on a monthly basis.
mm,
And yeah, and we do give our
mm,
parents on a monthly basis, because since we started earning, and my mom used to make it a point that yeah we should start small, so that it becomes not difficult when you grow and earn more. And then
mm,
even the idea of tithing is also very foreign for a lot
mm,
of people, and don't accept it. And yeah, I think these are all the things that are so different, that other people or a lot of people do not understand.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what would you say are more cultural challenges or expectations that impact your personal finance goals?
Yeah, I think you guys are from Asia as well, so we share the same common Asian culture where there's a strong expectation to help relatives and friends financially when you're financially more secure. And of course, I think it's a very beautiful thing as a community, because it's a cultural thing that we share between having a collectivist cultural mindset versus an individualistic mindset. Like Melissa, you were saying how they were a bit shocked that you want to pay for your parents, but it's that's the culture in which we grow up. As
Mm.
we are a community, we are not
Mm.
individuals, but we are a community, and we cherish that. And we take it as a responsibility that we really have to take care of our relatives and our friends and family. But I think, having said that, okay, there's of course a lot of expectations when you are abroad, in probably in the West, your family or your friends back home automatically think you're rich. You know, it doesn't matter if you're still studying. I saw this firsthand with another friend of mine who came from India, and all his friends back home, they and his family, they automatically think he's some kind of rich guy just because he landed in Germany.
Yeah, I have a friend like that. I mean, that his family are always thinking that you're so rich now, you're earning so much. Actually, I even got comments like that too when I went back home.
Yeah, I mean, comments are still it's not good, but it's still okay. But sometimes there's this expectation because
Mm.
at least with my friend, he starts getting calls, and then
Oh,
and says, "Hey, I have this issue. Maybe could you help me with this and this amount? Please help me." And this guy is so generous. He cannot say no. He just wires the money to them, and he never gets it back. They don't even say that they'll return it back because they assume that you're rich enough now
to not
that
bother about this
that
amount.
this is probably some petty cash for you. And whenever he's going, or most internationals when they're going home, then you have a lot of uncles. And I don't know how is it in Malaysia or in the Indonesian culture, but in India probably you have a bunch of people calling you and telling you, hey, I want an iPhone and I want this and I want that.
No,
And
no. Fortunately,
Mm.
no one has asked us
uh,
I mean, yeah, but
Yeah, so I think these are some expectations which I think most internationals face, and what I would say is, it's very important to set boundaries, and
Mm.
being intentional when we want to help. Helping is very important, but it's not at the cost when you want to hurt your own future.
Sure.
You're not jeopardizing your own future by thinking of everything or just making people happy. So
Mm.
it's important for me. I think it's important to have a budget for being generous for these kind of things.
Yeah.
And then when you give money, don't expect it back. That's my hard and fast rule.
Mm.
One of the rules is never lend money and never borrow money from anyone. When you borrow
mm,
money, you also start lending money. So it's never do that. But if you're lending money, always have the focus of always do it in a sense that you always think that it's still never going to come back,
Right.
and then you're free. So you have a certain amount, a budget that you set aside for it. And if you really see there's a need, you really have to help someone intentionally, but be assured that it's not coming back. If it comes back, well and good, you use it and save it up for something else. But it sets you free mentally, because I'm not sure if you guys have this kind of instances, but I've had many instances where I've given money and it doesn't come back, and then it's a whole mental game, because I know a lot of
mm,
friends who've given a lot of money to people. And so if you're wise enough, you know how much you want to give, and then it's a good thing, because for some people you lend money, and when they don't give it back, that's the last time they were going to ask you, because they know if they're asking you again, they first need to give you back the money which they asked you
Mm.
before.
mm,
So so it's, I think, very
yeah,
important to set these my what I would say is boundaries, but
mm,
boundaries with people. And it's not a conflict. Having
Mm.
expectations from your own culture is important, but how we manage our own money, and it's at the end of the day, it's important to make yourself and your family stable.
Mm.
I see a lot of people, especially Indians who went abroad and were working in the 70s and in the 80s or in the 90s, coming when they come home, they spend a lot of money on gifts,
mm,
because they want to look cool, or they never had this kind of wealth and they want to share. But then when they retire, no, all those people who helped them, they never really came back to do anything for them.
true. I like sharing stories from my husband's family. They are also, I mean, that generation, especially like you say,
Mm,
from the 70s, they are, or 60s, they always like to buy a lot of gifts, like huge gifts,
mm,
not small gifts, because somehow in that their mindset of giving gifts, it has to be worthy and luxurious enough that represents their status.
mm,
And
Mm.
even though if it might cost them a lot, they still have the obligation to do it, or they, at least they felt the obligation to do it, which on our end we couldn't understand sometimes, but they feel pressure about that. If they don't do it, they feel like no
Mm.
one no one would even entertain them, or they have
mm,
this fear. And I heard so many stories from him, that some people really take advantage of it, that whatever they receive, they could really use it or say like this gift is meant to be give this person, and then instead of giving passing this gift to that person, they really take that gift, sell it, and then exchange the money, got some, and get a leftover small portion of it and buy us another gift and actually give that real person.
Mm.
And there are like really hurtful stories like that happening back in those days. And coming back to these days, when during our wedding ceremony we were sharing stories about how we as internationals here, we could only rely on our friend and we were helping each other out, and these stories of how we help each other without any gifts in between even actually touched him a lot, of how people can just trust each other without gifts or without giving anything, and you
Mm.
just keep giving without expecting anything. I think it's really important of what kind of community you are in, and how um yeah, if it end up in a very um scary environment, then boundaries is a very important way to protect yourself. But I
Yeah.
think it also really depends on the community you are being placed in or ended up in, or even choose to be in, if you have that advantage, yeah, um to navigate between how you should behave or even handle the people and your boundaries.
Yeah, and,
Mm.
that's primarily one of the reasons why internationals, when they go abroad, they don't necessarily start building wealth in the first generation, because the first generation is all about getting used to the country, getting used to the lifestyle, but also then using a lot of this money to travel back home and spending a lot of
Mm.
that money back home.
Mm.
So they don't really have enough money or time left to start thinking about investing. But I think now our generation is becoming more and more careful
Mhm.
with how we manage our finances. And I think we should be sure that what we are doing in the present should not hurt our future.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
think it should start with the discipline primarily at our own family. So the decisions we take in our own family, sometimes it can be a little bit painful, and we say maybe okay, we say no to a certain small thing that we want to buy, or say no to a very expensive holiday, maybe say something, go for a little more cheaper one, or maybe buy a little bit less expensive TV, so that you
Mm.
have something that's more focused on your future. And that's I think that's important. When we start handling our own life better, we automatically become more conscious about how we handle and set these boundaries with other people.
Mm.
Mm. So we talk about building wealth. How can we as international or as migrants start even to think about building wealth?
Yeah, I think like we discussed earlier when Nadia asked me, said about how we can steward our money. I think the same principles apply when building wealth, whether it's for internationals. The first thing is you realize that you are getting a bit more stable. The first few years are a bit challenging. You're living on paying your rent and your supplies and everything. But when you actually start earning money, don't start spending it right away and having a very luxurious lifestyle. That's what I see a lot of internationals abroad doing, enjoying their lifestyle recklessly as soon as they start their first job. Maybe
Mm.
it's okay. Maybe we've all made that mistake, but when we realize that we need to stop that right away and get that under control, start budgeting and getting out of debt, especially high interest debts. Usually people take a lot of loan from their home countries for traveling abroad. Get out
Mm.
of your debt as soon as possible.
Mhm.
Start building an emergency fund. And then once you have yourself secure in these areas, then start thinking about growing your money, understanding the local system, the local markets, how to buy appreciating assets, how you want to do some investments into retirement funds, or how you want to start a side gig or a side business, how you want to start earning more money on the side. But but with that is comes a caution, because people always copy. They see somebody else doing something nice and they think they can also do that and make money, which I think is always a trap. Because I always tell people, do what you can do, see what is in your circle of competence, Always do what you are gifted in doing. If you can't do that, but if you just think that somebody else is doing that and I can do that and make money, then it's obviously going to be a failure. If you are good at something, then see how you can monetize it. But just because everybody's starting a restaurant, for example, it's not the best idea for us to start a restaurant. Do we know how to run a restaurant business, or do we have any idea about cooking? Can we cook if there is if we do not have the chef, if we do not have staff? Can we run it by ourselves? So these kind of things. Or we want to set up a grocery shop. Do we know anything about groceries? Just for example, yeah. Or sometimes people find these cool ideas from the internet on how to make money. But I always say that's how you lose money. You don't make money. You earn money, and you actually want to grow your money, and people make foolish. There is no quick way to success. There's no quick way to success, and
Mm.
there's no shortcuts. It always comes with hard work and patience. So if something is promising you a quick fix, be cautious and stay away from it, and stay away from friends who motivate us to get into this financial things. There are always these friends. Hey, I have this business investment, we can do this, or we have this idea in my home country. You can buy this land, or you can do this and that. And sometimes it's always a trap, but it's good you maybe fall in one of these traps. You learn early in life, and then you don't repeat it again.
We'll learn a very expensive lesson.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, what do you wish you had known about money earlier in your journey?
Hmm. Uh, that's a good question. I think about money. Thinking about money, I what I always think is education is very overrated. Education
Mm,
What do you mean by
and
education? You mean like university education?
yeah, yeah.
mm,
University education, the school education depends. I don't know how it's in your country, but in India, people spend a lot of money to go to university. Even
yeah.
schools nowadays, schools are quite expensive. People are sending kids, and for kindergarten, they're paying around 5,000, 6,000 euros a year.
A month, even here in Malaysia, they're like,
Mm.
even
This,
my family, my brother-in-law say, I
mm.
have to send my kid to international school, and that costs like
Yeah,
so much in a month.
yeah,
Mm,
and it's super expensive, and it's usually because of this lifestyle upgrade I was talking about earlier. People start earning more, and they don't know what to do, and they think the best thing is spending a lot of money on good education, which probably you can also get good education with a lot less money. It's not
yeah.
necessarily that you spend a lot of money in private universities or in these things, because
Mm,
that's something I learned. Because I myself, my parents spent a lot of money. They're not from a very rich background, but they spent a lot of money, which I even till date feel was quite unnecessary for my university. There's nothing that I really learned from university. I could have really learned that on my own. And most of it I already knew when I was going, because I studied computer science, and most of the coding and everything I already knew when I was going to classes. So it's just probably to just get a degree, which I never really used it, because I was mostly self-employed most of my life. So I think that's way too much. So I think we must never spend too much money on education unless it's really good, unless you're going into a top Ivy League college or a university, and you're going on merit, and you get, and of course if you're going on merit, you then get scholarship. So as parents, I think we must never at least not fund our children's education to send them and spoil them in private universities.
Especially beyond the means that they
mm,
can afford, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I see a lot of people taking a lot of loans and going to just, because in India it's a big thing to become an
yeah.
engineer or a doctor, and people spend lots of money just to make their kids a doctor or an engineer. And I think if you're cut out for it, go for it on your merit, but don't spend money unnecessarily just
Mm.
to for the sake of society, a good name in society.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, don't spend money. The goal should be you must make money work for you. So if I was wise enough back then, I probably wouldn't have spent that much money. I would have taken that money from my parents and probably invested it somewhere, and probably I would have actually had a lot of money by now, because it's the power
True.
of compounding. When you start early, your money grows. If you have more time for your money to grow, it's called compounding. So the power of compounding is a huge and an important principle for financial
Yes.
literacy.
I'm only learning that recently, not very long ago,
Mm,
and it is through my housemate who really woke me up, like, because there was just one day when we were chatting in the kitchen while cooking, and she was asking me, oh, so now we have been working here in Germany for 2 years, how much have you saved? And the
mm,
amount that she saved and the amount that I saved, it was a huge difference. And but we know how much each other earn. It
mm-hmm,
wasn't almost, it was probably the same. And I was
mm,
asking her, how could you do it? And then she was kind enough to explain to me, and then I really see like how much those little things meant.
mm,
It's
mm.
not, you don't see it if you don't look at it.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
look back at it and really list them all out, it might be a lot of effort, but you actually only need to do it once, because every month is actually a pattern.
Mm,
If you know your basics spending, necessary spending, and the extra spending, you will see the extra spending that you always think like, just it's just a coffee, it's just
Mm.
one meal, it's just one ride, it's just one e-scooter ride away. And
mm,
all this small little amount can become a huge amount when you look it at 2 years range, 5 years range, and 10 year
Yeah.
range. And this compounding thing that you say, um it's really is when you have this amount after all of this emergency fund and all, when you have this amount, this spare amount where you can use it to invest, then it begins the process of growing this amount.
Mm.
If you do it strategically, and I always regret that I start so late.
mm.
And if I
Mm.
could have started 10 years earlier, I would have been so much more wealthy than I am right now, or not wealthy, but more like well-to-do, as in I will have much lesser pressure on what is to come. But yeah, I think the more we talk about it, the more we are able to be aware about it.
Yeah, I think the best time to have started investing was probably 20 years ago or 10 years ago. But the next best time to start investing is today.
Yeah.
So usually we think, okay, we lost all that time, and then what people do is then they also forget the time that they're losing. Oh, they think, oh, I have only 10 euros, I have only 50 euros, maybe it's not so much. But when you put this 50 euros or 10 euros and invest it wisely somewhere, and over time it can grow and generate more wealth for you. So we should not really wait till we reach 500 or 100 or 1,000 and then start thinking of saving it somewhere, but really start investing in small bits. And what you said about you and your roommate reminds me of two international students. There was this one student, I had a classmate from India, and she used her whole 1 year's blocked account money for 2 years.
Mm.
Mm.
She came with 1 year of blocked account money, and she used it for 2 years, and she still had a little bit left, which she which she even took back with her going back home. And then I have another student who came in recently. I think it's been about a year now, and he is actually spending much more than what he gets monthly from his
Block account.
blocked account. And then his parents are also sending him more additional money, and he's saying, okay, it's very difficult to manage my finances. Probably I can understand it could be difficult, but it's really not that difficult, because you really need to know how to manage your money. And this girl, she learned how to manage money back home in her country,
Mm.
and she really stuck to it, and she did not die. She's still alive, so that means, so she probably was not fasting or something. She was eating her food, but she was really wise with her money. And that's something that we need to do as someone who's coming as a student. Don't be reckless with your parents' money. As
Mm.
most students come with their parents' money, and they still depend on their parents when they come here. And I think you really need to learn how to use and budget your finances, especially as a student.
Hmm. Thank you so much, Sam. Thank you for your sharing and your time today. It was really nice to talk about all of these things. I mean, for us, me and Nadia, probably this is the very first episode of our finance series after so
Mm.
many episodes because firstly it's difficult to find people who likes to talk about this topic because the financial topic for certain cultures it is a very sensitive topic, but I think in this generation and time we need to talk more about finance, and we are really really grateful that you are willing to come and share with us all your knowledge and your wisdom. Maybe we can talk about investment next time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I think it was wonderful to be here today and to talk the basics of finance and financial literacy, especially with the two of you wonderful people. I love your podcasts. I watched a few of your episodes, and I hope Melissa, you've written that letter you wanted to write to your house arts.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I saw that you wanted to write one. I hope, yeah, but I love what you guys are doing. And Nadia was sharing her story about her health and healing, and it's quite nice, and how she's trusting on God for healing. And I really like what you guys are doing. I love the people who are coming on your podcast, and keep doing what you're doing, and more power and more grace to you guys as you do what you do, and bringing a change in people's lives and helping them navigate new ground.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the encouragement. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on Navigating New Ground. We hope today's conversation gave you some insight, support, or just a reminder that you're never alone in this journey.
If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment, and share it with someone who might need it. You can find and follow us on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.
Until next time, take care.
Bye.
Bye.